You just transferred $200 to your savings account. You feel good about it for approximately 30 seconds. Then you check the balance. It's $847. You've been saving for 4 months and you've got less than $1,000. At this rate, you'll have enough for a down payment on a house in approximately never. So you think, what's even the point? This is going to take forever. Maybe I should just enjoy my money now instead of hoarding these pathetic little amounts that aren't going to change anything anyway. My name is Drew, and I spend way too much time thinking about why the most important financial habit feels completely useless when you're starting out. If you're someone who knows you should be saving, who's tried to build up an emergency fund or save for a goal, but who keeps getting discouraged because the numbers feel so small and the progress feels so slow, hit subscribe and give this video a thumbs up. Because I'm about to explain why saving feels pointless at first, why that feeling is actually a sign you're doing it right, and how to push through the most discouraging phase of building wealth. Now look, I know what you're thinking. Drew, $200 a month is literally nothing. My rent is $1,400. My student loans are $350. My car payment is $280. I need to save like $50,000 for a real emergency fund and probably $100,000 for a down payment. At $200 a month, I'll be saving for decades. What's even the point? And here's the thing. Everything you just said is mathematically correct. $200 a month is objectively a small amount relative to your big financial goals. It will take years to build substantial savings at that rate, and those facts make it incredibly hard to stay motivated. Except here's what most people don't realize. The feeling that saving is pointless is one of the biggest psychological traps in personal finance. Because that feeling, that rational, mathematically justified feeling that your small savings don't matter, is exactly what keeps people broke forever. Let me show you why this happens, because this is where it gets interesting. Your brain is terrible at understanding exponential growth and compound interest. Like, genuinely terrible. There's actual research on this called exponential growth bias. When humans think about growth, we think linearly. We assume things will continue growing at the same rate they're growing now. So when you save $200 a month for 4 months and you have $800, your brain projects that forward. 12 months, you'll have $2,400. 5 years, you'll have $12,000. At that rate, getting to $50,000 takes 17 years. Your brain sees that timeline and goes, this is hopeless. I'll be middle-aged before I have any real money. But here's the thing. That's not how wealth building actually works. Because money doesn't just sit there adding up. It compounds. It earns returns. Those returns earn returns. And the growth curve isn't linear. It's exponential. Let me give you the actual math. If you save $200 a month in a regular savings account earning basically nothing, then yes, you'll have about $12,000 in 5 years. But if you invest that $200 in a stock market index fund, averaging about 10% annually, you'll have closer to $15,500. Not a huge difference yet, right? But here's where it gets interesting. Keep going. At 10 years, the savings account has $24,000. The investment account, about $41,000. At 20 years, savings account, $48,000. Investment account, $152,000. Same $200 monthly contribution, wildly different results. And at 30 years, the savings account has $72,000, which is exactly what you'd expect from basic math. The investment account has $452,000. From the same $200 monthly investment that felt completely pointless at the beginning. Now you might be thinking, okay, Drew, but 30 years is forever. I need money before I'm 60. And I get it. 30 years feels impossibly far away. But here's what most people don't realize. The hardest part is the beginning. The first few years when your balance is tiny and your progress feels invisible. That's when most people quit. There's this concept in investing called critical mass. It's the point where your money starts making more money than you're contributing. And getting to critical mass feels impossible because the early returns are so small, they're basically irrelevant. You've got $800 saved. It earns 10% in a year. That's $80. $80. You could earn more than that working a single shift at almost any job. The return on your savings feels like a joke. So your brain says, why am I bothering with this? I'm sacrificing now for returns that won't matter for decades. But here's the thing, that $80 isn't the point. The point is building the habit in the principal amount that will eventually generate meaningful returns. You're not saving for the returns you'll get this year. You're saving so that 10 years from now, your money is generating thousands of dollars annually in returns while you sleep. Let me give you a real example. My friend Sarah started investing $300 a month at age 25. For the first 3 years, she was constantly discouraged. Year one, she had about $3,800. Year two, maybe $8,200. Year three, around $13,000. She kept thinking, I'm 30 years old with $13,000 saved. This is pathetic. I should just spend this money on something I can actually enjoy now. But she kept going. Year five, she had about $23,000. Year seven, $36,000. She was in her early 30s and still felt behind. But then something started to happen. Year 10, she had $62,000. Year 15, $130,000. By age 45, she had over $280,000. And here's the crazy part. In that last year alone, year 20, her account grew by over $35,000. Her investments earned more in 1 year than she had saved in total after 7 years of contributions. That's the exponential curve. It feels like nothing is happening for years. Then suddenly your money starts doing the heavy lifting. This is what most people don't realize. Saving money feels pointless at first because you're in the pointless phase. Not actually pointless, but the phase where the results don't match the effort. You're planting seeds and nothing's growing yet. But if you quit before the seeds sprout, you'll never get the harvest. Here's what makes this even harder psychologically. Everything around you is telling you to spend money now. You're watching people on social media taking vacations you can't afford. Your friends are going out to restaurants while you're eating meal prep chicken and rice to save $40 a week. You're driving a 10-year-old car while your coworker just bought a new one. And your brain is constantly calculating the opportunity cost. I could have that vacation right now for the price of 6 months of savings. 6 months of sacrifice for 1 week of enjoyment. That math doesn't make sense. But here's the thing. Your brain is only calculating the immediate trade-off. It's not calculating the long-term compounding effect. That $1,200 vacation isn't just costing you $1,200. It's costing you what that $1,200 would become over 20 years. At 10% annual returns, that's about $8,000. You're not choosing between a vacation and some numbers in an account. You're choosing between 1 week of fun now and potentially retiring months or years earlier. Now look, I'm not saying you should never enjoy your money. I'm not saying you should live like a monk and hoard every dollar. What I'm saying is that when saving feels pointless, you're usually right at the moment where it matters most. Right at the moment where continuing will set you up for exponential growth, but quitting will guarantee you stay broke. Here's what you need to understand. The beginning of wealth building is supposed to feel disproportionately hard. You're putting in maximum effort for minimum visible results. That's not a sign you're doing it wrong. That's a sign you're in the foundation building phase. And foundations are never exciting, but they're absolutely necessary. There's another psychological factor at play here called present bias. Your brain values immediate rewards way more than future rewards, even when the future rewards are objectively larger. There are studies showing that people would rather have $100 today than $200 in a year. Even though waiting is clearly the better choice, the immediacy of the smaller reward feels more compelling. This is why saving feels pointless. You're choosing future rewards over present rewards, and your brain is screaming at you that you're making a mistake. Every time you transfer money to savings instead of spending it, you're fighting against millions of years of evolution that programmed you to value immediate gratification. But here's what most people don't realize. The discomfort you feel when saving, that's not a sign you should stop. That's the feeling of building a skill. You're training your brain to value future you as much as present you. And that skill is worth more than any amount of money you could save. Let me show you what actually works to get through this phase. First, you need to completely reframe what you're measuring. Stop focusing on the total balance. Seriously, Your $847 balance is going to discourage you because it's small relative to your goals. Instead, focus on your streak. Have you saved something every month for 4 months? That's a 4-month streak. That's what matters right now. Second, calculate your wealth accumulation rate instead of your total wealth. This is the percentage of your income you're saving. If you're earning $3,000 monthly after tax and saving $200, that's a 6.7% savings rate. Your goal should be to increase that percentage over time, not to hit some arbitrary dollar amount. Third, and this is crucial, automate everything so you don't have to feel the pain of saving. If $200 automatically leaves your account on payday before you see it, you're not making a sacrifice every month. You're just living on what's left. The savings happen without requiring willpower or motivation. Fourth, give yourself milestone rewards that aren't about the dollar amount. When you hit a 6-month streak, celebrate. When you reach 12 months of consistent saving, do something special. You're not celebrating having $2,400 in the bank. You're celebrating proving to yourself that you can stick to a financial commitment for a year. Fifth, deliberately expose yourself to compound interest calculators. Go online and plug in your numbers. Watch what happens over 10, 20, 30 years. Make it visual. Your brain can't naturally comprehend exponential growth, so you need to show it explicitly what's happening. Here's what I want you to do right now. Stop thinking about saving as putting money aside for later. Start thinking about it as paying your future self. Every dollar you save is income for future you, and future you is going to be incredibly grateful. When you're 45 and you want to take a year off to travel or start a business or help your kids with college, you're going to look back at 25-year-old you grinding through those early years when saving felt pointless. And you're going to be so grateful that you pushed through, because present you made a sacrifice so future you could have options. This is what most people don't realize. Saving money doesn't feel pointless because you're not saving enough. It feels pointless because you're in the phase where results aren't visible yet. But invisible doesn't mean ineffective. You're building compound interest that will eventually dwarf your contributions. You're building a habit that will serve you for life. You're building the discipline to delay gratification, which is one of the strongest predictors of financial success. The people who build real wealth aren't the ones who save when it feels good. They're the ones who save when it feels pointless, because they understand that feeling pointless is temporary, but quitting is permanent. So if you're sitting there with $847 in your savings account, feeling like it doesn't matter, I want you to know it matters. Every single dollar matters. Not because $847 is a lot of money, but because you proved you could do it. You proved you can save consistently. You proved you can prioritize future you over present you, and that proof is worth more than the balance in your account. If this video made you realize that feeling discouraged about small savings is normal and doesn't mean you should quit, hit that like button and subscribe, because I'm making videos like this every week about getting through the hardest parts of building wealth. Drop a comment letting me know. How long have you been saving? Let's celebrate those small wins together. Now go set up that automatic transfer if you haven't already. Stop waiting for saving to feel good. It won't feel good until the compound interest kicks in. You've got this.